Meditation, silence, different energy. That was zestful and reminiscent and hopeful. And how do we switch and center ourselves? We do it with deep breaths. We do it as we should do. It's hard to do everything with some intentionality and mindfulness. And that comes from practice. And that comes from need. And if we don't have expectations, some interesting things can happen. I think one of the challenges of being a human being is calibrating power and understand it's not always forced. It's not always this way. It's a lot of times this way. Doak Mansfield needs to know that. I expect some other few folks do too. In a time of silence, feel the rhythms of your breath, deep in, deep out. Close your eyes if you'd like to. We're safe here. And be at home in yourself for a while. And be what you need to be, and be where you need to be, and be about what you need to be. Together. We're at different places in our lives. We're in different places on our journey, personal. But we share a broad highway, as wide as eternity. We are invited to bring our pain and our creativity, to be who we are, to be better, and to serve life. May we find the love, the hope, to be through, and to be together in the process of being and becoming for the good that we can ourselves affect. Amen. I cast today as sort of around Dr. King's birthday and celebration, but also coming out of a season of turbulence. Has to be considered that. So much energy, so much social media, so much discussion on TV. Everywhere we're bombarded. From the left, from the right, from no places. And some foreign planets, I think. To get a centering. To get some sense of hope. And I think there's activities going on, and I feel it, where we're trying to craft words and understand. I won't say it's a paradigm shift. I won't say it's a great milestone. But it seems like there's a consciousness around, and maybe I'm isolated, maybe I'm living in silos, maybe I talk to not enough people, but I think I've got a pretty fair grip on it. The world is trying to cope with modernity and its demise, and we can get into all the philosophy you want at another time. But there's some stuff going on that's problematic. Some illusions have been shattered. Some hopes have been dashed. Some realities have hit us like brick walls. Some hearts have been broken. Some spirits have been tested. And we resist that. Human beings, I love our story. We will not be defeated. We are the work of art. We're the ultimate of creation in this room. I know, look around. We got a long way to go, I know, but we're state of the art. And that presupposes, and that means we are creative agents that affect life. And change is a terrible, terrible master. And the only way I can get a hold of this, and I share it with you as a form of what form resistance, is to understand a little bit of the past. Dr. King in the Birmingham jail. The suffragettes in 1920, force-fed, put in jail, beaten by the federal government. Nat Turner. I mean, we can go back. The Native American, we got tragedy. We wade through tragedy and blood to get to this room. That's part of the story. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And we as human beings, if we're going to be equipped to know what form resistance takes, we understand that life is a struggle. And we come with humility to allay ourselves of any delusions about how power works. But if we become jaded, if we become cynical, Dr. King, early in his ministry, had a position of self-defense. He encouraged his early followers to buy guns. Do you know that? It was a self-defense movement. It came out of a long line of what do we do out of Jim Crow? What do we do out of the lynchings? What do we do out of systemic racism? Well, we buy guns. We stand up. We're all over this country. We get empowered. Dr. King listened to some other folks, and he learned about Gandhi. And he remembered it because he was a smart guy, and he read and he understood, and he was moved to change his ways. And he became a craftsperson and a preacher and an advocate of passive resistance. Passive resistance. Take the beatings. Go to jail. Get water hosed. Get scars from dogs. God. And that's just one example of those pioneers in the back of the human spirit and human justice who said, no, not anymore. The women who were just made cattle for so long, and still in many ways. People of color, anyone different. They burned the Mormons out of Illinois. Why don't you think they came to Salt Lake City? What did they do to the Jews? The Jews became bankers because the Roman Republic wouldn't let them own any land. They couldn't be farmers anymore. What do? You barter. You come together as a community. You figure out a way to survive because you've got a vision and you know who you are. Black folks, people of color, women, different religious persuasions. And they said with a vision, we can be one. But we can only do that through resistance and allying with other folks who see the vision and take the whoopings. And I don't like to take whoopings, I don't know about you, but I could move faster than Mother could do that ice water. And I only had to move 2 or 3 times and I learned what to do. Well, that's not what I encourage, but that's my story. So there are parameters and their resistance. And the only way you can be in a resistance to the power that denies your personhood, that limits your potential, that has to subject you to their way of being, is to come together with like-minded people. And I didn't intend it this way. I'm not that smart, but that Swimmy story provides me my illustration. Oh, it's limited. It's just a creative folk tale. It's not high intellectual, but that's what it's about. Leone said, and they found their place. And Swimmy would be the eye. That's how it works. What form resistance? It comes together on a basis of love, which is informed by a sense of survival. You ever tried to live by yourself? Have you ever tried to be on your own when your hand won't work? And your heart doesn't work anymore? And you're dependent on a surgeon and a heart donor? And the process of time and hope that that hand will come back, and somehow my brain helped out. My body processed it, so I got through the stroke. And technology gave me someone else's heart. We are invited to be creative and responsive even in the dark times. And I heard a phrase the other day which I just love. We've got to be the candle and the mirror. The candle and the mirror of what is good and right and justice in this world. How do you do that? You find other lights and you look at a lot of different mirrors. Because we are the creative agents who can make a difference. And opportunities for solidarity. And I don't care what your politics is. I don't care what your theology is. But I do care about this. You are either for people and for life, or you're for yourself only. And that's where it divides for me. Dr. King took the whipping for that vision. The women in streets of Washington, D.C. and New York who went to jail and was force-fed and beaten like dogs, they knew that. They didn't do it for themselves. They do it for those who came after. They do it for their people. They aligned themselves with something bright and beautiful. And blessed be, we are invited to do that as well. And as usual, I had a lot of stuff written down here, and it doesn't work anymore. Oh, I got to tell you one. Get on Facebook. Her name is Nina Turner. She was a state senator in Illinois, and she was part of the Democratic process to select a candidate. And she's out on the trail. She's the bright new star, maybe, on the progressive side. And she did a speech the other day. I don't know when it was, but it made Facebook. And she did about 2 minutes, maybe 3, that Dr. King would have stood up and applauded. Because it was that erudite, elegant, right on. And she said her grandmother, who was born in the South in 1913, told her when she asked her what was important in life, how to get by in life, what was successful, said, you got 3 bones, girl. You got a wishbone, a jawbone, and a backbone. A wishbone gives you a vision, and despair gives you hope. What was the second one? Thank you. You're with me. Jawbone is for you to speak out power, speak out truth to power. And the backbone is to know that you may get beaten down, but you're going to get back up. Now, I can't do her justice, but you got the idea. And we have 2 hands, one to reach forward and climb up, and one to reach backward and pull the one behind us up. Now, that kind of stuff we'll preach. And we're invited to do that. And it's not just eloquence. It's not just poetry. It's day in and day out. It's how you treat these children. How do you treat that person, that clerk at the store? How I listen to my old men at McDonald's doing their reactionary politics. And make inroads by talking football. Because they don't know Doak's a pretty good guy, see? And I'm going to sneak up on their blind side. Because you can speak truth to justice, truth to power, if they don't think you're an agitator and a troublemaker and a smart aleck. Now, I've learned a few things in my life, and that's one of them. Because you get in my face and I ain't going to listen to you. I closed you down when you came at me. That's natural. That's our power of defensiveness. That you turn that around, you get that backside of that, and that's aggression, that's persistence, that's stubbornness, that's creativity. It's an instinct that doesn't have to be used for violence. It can be used for hope. That's what Dr. King learned when he processed Gandhi. We shall hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope, he said. Honor to his memory. May his kind be multiplied day in and day out by visionaries who swim like Swimmy did, with predators who would not let them be overcome. I got to learn to close sermons. That's just all I've got to do.